Arsenal have absolutely crushed Real Madrid, and you lot want a bit of filth, do you? Well, come here and say it with me. Take a deep breath, we'll zoom in on it, and then we will go. Do you know what I'm going to say? Those who've watched the channel time and time again will know exactly what I'm about to say, and I'm going to take my time with it. That was an absolutely outstanding free kick, but on the basis of it, it seems really simple. Yeah, it's just a free kick, and they've just banged it in twice. And Declan Rice has had two incredible moments. And his technique is absolutely underrated in terms of striking a ball. We've seen that with his influence when it comes to corners. But there's a lot more to be said when it comes to both this goal and the Marino goal and the overall masterclass from Arteta and the disaster class from Ancelotti's men, who showed absolutely no hunger, were timid, were awful. But take nothing away from Arsenal. They were absolutely fantastic. We dropped a video on the channel, which if you're an Arsenal fan, I think you really enjoy. It's 24 minutes of us talking about breaking down with stats, using data, how this Arsenal team has evolved from an attacking point of view. And the truth is, it's complicated. And I'll explain that in this video. But that doesn't mean that they're not a good team. It doesn't mean that they've not improved. And this is a great example of how in the Champions League, they are dangerous. Really, really dangerous, because their XG against is incredibly low. The field tilt is so high. And if they can get themselves the goal here and there over 180 minutes, especially with a home crowd that was absolutely roaring tonight, you could hear it. This Arsenal team in this competition, I've got absolutely every chance, especially now. And I must have jinxed them. I definitely have, because I said Real Madrid were going to win the Champions League, because you just don't go against Real Madrid. And look, who knows? But they were woeful. And there were some tactical elements from Arteta that absolutely exploited a Real Madrid team that looked so lethargic. And I think that word of suffering is something that has kind of felt like it almost bled into the team here a little bit and absolutely sapped them of their energy. But there were some really interesting tactical elements from Arsenal that made them really sing and allow them to really, really exploit this Real Madrid team. So these are the two teams. As you can see, Alaba coming in for his first Champions League game in 16 months. But on paper, this is how it looked. In reality, it looked very different. We're going to talk about Saka in this video. We're going to talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly in this video. And we're also going to talk about a moment that occurred in the 12th minute here that actually shows how much of a great coach Mikel Arteta is. Because this point from Declan Rice is incredibly revealing when it comes to the third goal. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just calm down for a second and go through the teams, because the tactical element of it and the use of Miles Lewis-Skelly at his age playing in this game, he is utterly fearless right now. And will that carry on forever? Who knows? But he's so comfortable, and the way he just sees it and plays it, I absolutely love it. Initially I didn't want to sort of get sucked into the hype, because I thought it was a dangerous thing to do, and you've got to be careful. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a dad now. I just want to be careful for these lads. But he was outstanding today, and the way Arteta used him was absolutely genius. Saka, hi. Martinelli, I'm not saying hello. Hi, Saka. We'll talk about Saka's importance, because he defines this team, in my opinion. Martinelli on that left-hand side. Odegaard, therefore, playing a little bit higher up. And what was occurring was, and it was one where, because they were so timid, Real Madrid, they weren't putting the sprints in, weren't working together, pressing in ones. You had a sort of second line of Modric and Camavinga, and then Bellingham sort of at times getting himself back, but sometimes not really getting back enough. And it was a 4-4-2 sort of mid-block. Rodrigo really struggled, seemed really kind of confused a lot of the time. And the reason for that was the use of Miles Lewis-Skelly, because it allowed Declan Rice to stay quite high here. If we bring in Modric just a little bit, what you had was you had Kivior, who had a bit of a nervy start, didn't he? Marino, of course, high up, but actually he dropped into this area, which made it very kind of congested. And in between those lines, you then had three surrounding Camavinga and Modric. If you have a look at it here, you can see there was a real kind of overload there to the point where actually Camavinga went over to Ancelotti and kind of had a word with him. And I think that was the main reason for it. But Declan Rice and Odegaard both peeled off to these areas here a lot of the time and got a lot of joy. The reason they got a lot of joy was because of the use of Miles Lewis-Skelly and Thomas Partey, who would step into this second line here. And it meant that although Declan Rice might originally start here or even higher at times, you had two defenders here who were kind of redundant. But often Declan Rice would slip into this space here. And it worked time and time and time again in terms of being able to get round that mid-block or low block of Real Madrid, and it hurt them quite a lot. Let me show you the touch map for them, because you can see it here. So this is Rice and Odegaard. Should we just make it one? So you've got Odegaard on that right-hand side, and then Declan Rice on the other side, constantly getting the ball in that area there, being able to get it, and then being able to drive and get around and hurt this team. And it was so effective several times. But to go back to Real Madrid, they were defensively just so timid throughout the game. And just to highlight this quickly, you can see here the distances between all of them was absolutely miles. You can't even see the player over here. Camavinga sort of hiding in here. The distances, how easy it was for Arsenal to be able to play out with zero pressure at all. When they moved into that mid-block, again, as we spoke about, you can see these three here. Rice, Marino, Odegaard. In that three, looking to go in behind them, but if he needed to, both of these players, and I'll show you examples of both, able to peel out wide, and they're able to then drive with the ball really, really easily. Miles Lewis-Skelly, as we spoke about, stepping in with such comfort, and because the press from Real Madrid was so weak, it was fucking pathetic, to be honest. It meant that it was just really easy for them to work the ball up the pitch. And I think it was a bit of a kind of mental torture for Arsenal, because I don't want to take away any of the credit for them at all. Lewis-Skelly again, as you can see here. Oh, wrong thing, but you know what I mean. There, and Declan Rice, exactly what we're talking about, being able to peel wide, because Rodrigo was just that little bit confused, because he was like, oh, do I need to pick up Miles Lewis-Skelly? Now, that should be kind of obvious. But by putting him in there and him being able to do that with such comfort, it created this passing lane that was available every single time. And then he could drive, and he did that to absolute devastation throughout the game. And then without the ball, I think it's important to touch on it, because they are defensively one of the best teams in the world. And that is what's going to give them such a chance. It was one where the control and the out of possession and maybe not the sparkly bits of football, and that's why they were struggling to break down Everton at the weekend. That's one part of it, Saka being another part of it as well. But the energy that they show in these big games from a defensive point of view when it comes to their press is always of such a high level. And in this instance, it meant that Thibaut Courtois had to smash it long. But they had just so much comfort, so much ease here. And look at the body language of these guys. Look at all of them. Just stood upright, not really looking to press. The distance between these guys, absolutely miles. It was just so easy for them. But as I said, Miles Lewis-Skelly was absolutely crucial in this game. And what I wanted to show here was on the 12th minute, just the brilliance of him stepping in. And as you can see, Thomas Partey dropping that little bit deeper on this occasion. They've moved from one side to the other. Odegaard was trying to kind of help out as well. But Miles Lewis-Skelly in this inverted role here, he doesn't just get the ball. He gets and drives. And let's remember the time here, because we're going to come back to this. Because it was so important in allowing Declan Rice to affect the game and have the game that he had today. It really, really was. In this moment, he gets it and he drives. He gets it, it drives, and all of a sudden, Rodrigo's out of the game. Look at the absolute acres of space that Declan Rice has. It's incredible. This happened time and time again throughout this game. He gets the ball, he drives. And on this occasion, he actually plays it to Martinelli. Now, remember this, because for the third goal, we're going to see something kind of similar. And as I spoke about earlier, he points to who? Miles Lewis-Skelly. He wants him to lay it back, because that says to me that this is something that was absolutely drilled into this team, or certainly was a pattern of play that they wanted to use to exploit. Because I think they thought that with Lewis Skelly becoming inverted and going, and then making that run, Rodrigo wouldn't bother. He wouldn't make the effort, and it would lead to great opportunities and to have Miles Lewis-Skelly on the edge of the box doing some damage. And of course, we're going to see how that plays out a little bit later. On this occasion, Martinelli went to the byline, got the cross in. Declan Rice was in there and did well, but it didn't happen. It actually fell to Partey, had a shot, but the shot was saved. And in the first half, if we do actually go to the momentum bar of the game, it was, the first half, normally the momentum bar should be high, as you can see from when the goals are scored. And it wasn't in this game because they were struggling to get enough shots off, create enough XG, despite really high field tilt, really high dominance in the game. But that was partly down to not getting in on the end of things. You would have heard Alan Shearer talking about how there were some really, really great crosses that came through, but they weren't able to get on the end of it. And the use of Saka in this game, I thought, was absolutely everything to them, and just does. I mean, wow, what a loss he has clearly been. But the fact that he has come into a game like this and been able to dominate, I'm going to go through several incredible moments here that he has in this game. And I put out a tweet saying, it was a picture of Alaba because he looked distraught because he'd had to deal with Saka. And someone clapped back at me and said, you've got, this must be English bias. Saka was so crucial, and this team knows it. You can see here by the concentration of how they play, that they use this bottom right zone. They want to get the ball to Saka as much as possible when he is playing for them. And you can see it with every single player in this team. This is 38 seconds. It's essentially the first time Arsenal get the ball. David Raya looks straight away this way. He's desperate to get the ball to Bukayo Saka. Arsenal are desperate to get the ball to Bukayo Saka at every opportunity. And for good reason, because he is so effective. 1 minute 20. And we've just spoken about it with Declan Rice on one side. Here's the other side of it now. Martin Odegaard, who looked so much better, getting it and doing his job instead of having to show that individualism that I think at some moment during the season, maybe in one of these in Champions League games, you're going to need that from not just Saka, but someone else as well. But this was Arsenal really at their best, because it allowed Odegaard to just be, as I say in that video, where we talk about Arteta's tactics over the last 5 years, just a kind of trusted soldier. He just works hard and does the right things. And he peels off to this right-hand side, gets the ball and drives. And there was so much space. Bellingham constantly behind the ball. Camavinga constantly scrabbling and struggling. And as I say, 1 minute 27, he drives and then he looks to get the ball to Bukayo Saka. And throughout the game, Saka, I thought, was tormenting Alaba, who, tough game for him to come back into. Another example of it, gets it on this side, plays it to him. This is 1 minute 58. So within 2 minutes, they've tried to get the ball to him twice because they want to see him attack his fullback. And he is so devastating, be it coming this side or going down the line. And throughout the game, he was absolutely crucial. 2 minutes 24. Instant impact. Gets here, gets on the ball, beats his man, and then Modric has to come and take him out. He is a player just filled with impact. And yes, this game was broken down by a couple of free kicks. But I'm going to reveal something in a second. And look, again, the ability to get round that side, it was so easy for them. This is a little chip pass from Declan Rice from one side to the other. Forgive me. From one side to the other. If you're enjoying this video, by the way, hit that like button for me. It makes a massive, massive difference. Again, Odegaard, this is so much more simple for him. And this is a different style from him. 36 minutes on the clock. I think you'll all remember this from the game. Back to back, he's able to, in two different ways, get himself to the byline and then get that cross across. And the narrative could have been so different if they don't get the win when they've had such dominance in the game and they've been such a better team. And I think you can see there's a bit of a problem here in terms of not having anyone in the box, right? But that would have been the story here, that where is the striker? This is the first one where he beats Bellingham, gets that cross across. The second one, Just 2-3 minutes later, again, get the ball to Bukayo Saka because he is going to do some damage. On this occasion, it's different. And again, Alaba screaming, Bellingham, where are you? Where is our sort of compactness? Where is our defensive energy? And on this occasion, again, it just shows like he's got no right to be able to beat his man the way that he does here. Simple pass. And that's what Saka does really well as well. Julian Lescott said this. He does the simple things brilliantly, but he also has no right. So the first time he's driven down to the side and got it in. This time he's just done a lovely little give and go, and this helps for someone like Odegaard's confidence, who I think when you're asking him to do it on his own, I think we've seen this year his confidence has waned a little bit, but he'll do the right things at the right times. This is it, as I say, 2 minutes apart. Superb from Saka. Absolutely superb from Saka. And this is what I want to get to now. We want to talk about all 3 goals because all 3 goals are revealing in different ways. And we'll talk about how sensational they are. I've got some beautiful screenshots here. But why did these goals come to be? Because they won a free kick, right? Why did they get a free kick? Do you want to guess? Bukayo Saka being incredibly smart and incredibly intelligent. 56 minutes on the clock. He gets the ball out here. Instead of going wide this time, he's able to cut in because he can do it. He can do both. We move it along a little bit, drives, and he's been hassled. Gets himself into a good area. Alaba jumps in and gives away the free kick. And that's where the goal comes from. So this is such an efficient Arsenal team. Do they need that little bit of stardust? Do they need to be that little bit freer at times? Or do they need just some additions to go with someone like Saka, who can be both smart and brilliant and take players on and take them out of the game, which I think is so important moving forward. You have to have players that can take players out of the game. But this goal, which is sexy, isn't it? He's just sort of curled it round, and obviously the set piece coach guy has gone, shoot and curl it. He was always going to shoot and curl it, let's be honest. So let's not take it away from Declan Rice. Absolutely stunning stuff. And look where it ends up. Look at that. Because if you're going to beat Courtois from a free kick, it's got to be absolutely bloody sensational. Declan Rice is some player. Showed great energy all night, and that was a big thing that they had that Real Madrid didn't. Honestly, I'm astounded at how bad they were. It's a great goal. It's fantastic stuff. Here's a question for you. Easiest question I'll ever ask you, right? Based on what you've heard. Based on what you've heard in this video, riddle me this. 67 minutes. We all know that Declan Rice scores 2 free kicks, right? Who do you think won the foul? Bukayo Saka. He's the man. That's not a chance soon, I'll be fuming. Again, Bellingham at him, but he's so strong. And it goes and goes and goes and goes and wiggles and wiggles and wiggles and wiggles and Drake's plays out of the game and then wins a really clever foul in a great area. He's just absolutely class, and that will get forgotten about. But this is absolute filth. I'm actually doing a disservice by putting that arrow on it. It's that, isn't it? And as I say, look at that. That is the stuff of dreams, isn't it? To wallop it like that, back to back. There's about 5 minutes apart from them. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. The third goal, stunning finish from Marino. But remember what I was saying about that side channel and how they were able to get the ball to Declan Rice out wide in that 12th minute. And Declan Rice pointed. Give it back to Miles Lewis-Skelly. Check this out. 74th minute. Looks pretty similar to what we had, but obviously it's on the flip side. Miles Lewis-Skelly right here. As part of that 2, you've got the 2 centre-backs. Actually really out wide here. Marino dropping deeper, which he was doing throughout. And actually, we were going to put it in here, but we didn't. Often when he kind of got the ball, he struggled to sort of get it turn and go because he's just not really that kind of player. But he has got that bit of grace about him and that bit of composure and great technique. And where's Declan Rice? Of course, you know exactly where Declan Rice is. He's out here because he's about to work down that side. Something that Arteta clearly spotted and wanted to utilise the energy of Odegaard, the energy of Declan Rice. And so, but by having Miles Lewis-Skelly in, it just always made Rodrigo just that little bit narrower, and it always gave this lovely, easy passing lane. And we saw it in that 12th minute. And then on this occasion, it goes to Marino. Marino plays it out to Declan Rice. Rodrigo completely out of the game. Not a single player anywhere near Arsenal throughout the game, which again, I think constant little passes working up the pitch, they just found it impossible to get anywhere near them. And they were almost a bit they had a brain freeze by the end of it. But Declan Rice gets the ball, and we know what he's going to do. He's going to drive. 74 minutes on the clock. He drives just like he did in the 12th minute. And he takes out a player, or sort of gets a player to commit themselves, and he lays it off to Trossard. There you go. So he's taken 2 players out of the game. But where's Miles Lewis-Skelly? Here he is. There, I see you. So once that ball gets played, this time it makes its way back to Miles Lewis-Skelly. Where in the first game, Trossard went down the line and got a cross in. Nothing wrong with that. You need to have different options. Well, on this occasion, by having your left back, not here, but here, the pressure is just so much for a team that quit a little bit, wasn't willing to put that work in. And so once you get the ball, you've got a really talented centre midfielder who sees a pass and plays a pass and doesn't hesitate. It's lovely movement from Marino, who peels off instead of goes that way. But again, it felt a little bit choreographed because the zip on the pass was pretty pacey. And Marino was ready to go. And it's an absolutely fantastic finish into the bottom corner. But that comes from a team that was kind of starting to purr and really, really, as I say, crushed this Real Madrid team. Absolutely crushed them. Back to the 12th minute. But as I say, it started from the same thing. We'll just keep going. There you go. Plays it out wide. You can see, points back. They could have done it in the first half. Fantastic from Arsenal. Fantastic from Arteta. I think fantastic from the crowd as well. You could see it. You could hear it. Let me know if you were there. What was it like? I've already a message from Clive Palmer saying one of the best nights at the Emirates. I'm not surprised. You've just beaten the champions of Europe 3-0. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a favour. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you buzzing if you're an Arsenal fan? And go check out that video talking about the truth about Arteta's tactics over the last 5 years. I think if you're a Gunners fan, you're going to enjoy it. Cheers. Speak to you soon. And sorry, Real Madrid fans. Not your night, really, was it?